to the first, the last, the Nerdom. In today's episode, we are on the eve of a tumultuous election. We're going to dive into the much talked about 2024 Civil War film, a gripping exploration of an uncanny alternate America. But this is really just is it just really a political theater or thriller, excuse me, or does it veer into the realm of horror? Join us as we dissect the film's chilling themes, its reflections on societal divides, and what it reveals about our current landscape. Buckle up for a thought-provoking conversation that blurs the lines between fiction and reality. I'm ML, and Tom joins me. How you doing, Tom?
I'm good. Buckle up, Buttercup, right?
Yeah. I'll go transition over here to the thing. So this one we're going to be going into Civil War, but first we're going to do our plugging here, and then we'll get down to business as it goes, and then we'll have a very good. I am very curious to see what your opinion is on this particular topic. So, but who are we? I am ML, and Tom joins me. We are the first, the last, the Nerdom. That is our YouTube channel. That is primarily where we live, breathe, and eat. If all 415 of you who have joined on, we do salute you and we thank you very much. And we can't wait to get to know the folks out there. So if you like what you see, comment if you want us to see or check out other things that we do or have suggestions. We'd love to hear about it. I'll let you do the Redditing here. You're our resident.
Yeah.
You're our resident expert Redditor in chief, so to speak.
Yeah, we have a Reddit page where I kind of promote our show. But yeah, I try to say hey to everybody. But yeah, I'm on Reddit, and I'm also on the Twitch, or not Twitch, but X. And I try to promote our channel on X as well. You also have some channels?
Yes, sir, I do. Yeah, you can join us, Tom and I, if you want to have a conversation or just say hey, or we like it or we don't like it, or what do you think? We like to share different little tidbits, mainly that. But you can find me on X, ApeIt.Ink. As well as my publication of record, which you might see up on the screen. I cover this a little bit independently on my website here, the ApeIt.Ink. And it's just for more heavier stuff, opinion stuff here, there. Good chunk of entertainment, whatever I'm into, kind of like the longer form video form of my and whatever passes my fancy. But with that being said, we're here. And I just wanted to plug our last couple episodes. I thought that went very well. Our Trick or Treat one, very good film to check out. Perfect for the Halloween season, although Halloween is now over. We're moving into another thing, but we're keeping the Halloween theme going. And also go check out Salem's, which we did a couple weeks ago. Very excellent, fun film as well. Totally perfect for this time of year. And you might as well get in for the first part and catch up on any Halloween watching. But I did want to take us into the to the discussion here. So you preface our question here as to where is this a horror? How did this strike you? So we can get into the meat of the things here. We're about 4.5 minutes in. I'm fascinated to hear what your opinion is on this particular movie. How did you take it? So this was an A24 film that had quite a bit of money behind it. Where did it, like, obviously I have waited for a long time for us to kind of catch up and do this, and what we said here, if you're watching this is the Sunday before the day, election day here on coming up next week on Tuesday. So I thought this is kind of funny that you preface this that this would be a horror movie. I think this is an excellent horror movie in the vein of kind of Halloween is right before the election day, so I think it naturally fits in and kind of gives a little bit of surrealness to a little bit. There's a little bit of ridiculousness here too, but I'm really curious to see how you took it as horror, or you are the resident expert that I look to for that. But what do you think?
Yeah, this movie kind of hits you like a freight train, right?
It does.
It,
It does.
Yeah, it takes you straight into it, and it's you kind of feel all of the feels when you watch this movie.
Yeah, Thriller is.
It's
I think you had made our intro and you called it, or you found the word thriller, and I agree. It is there. It does not take long to kick off. You're right.
Yeah, and I like how it's I say it's kind of uncanny because it's it feels like America, but it doesn't. There's like this little shimmer to it.
Yeah, they do the world building very quickly. Some things you kind of take for granted. But you see them. You kind of come into this. But before we get into too much of the beginning of the film, I did want to kind of back out and kind of just talk overall about Alex Garland and kind of just mention that I think that we have covered numerous movies of his, and I think we tend to be more fans than not. Whether that's whether he had some kind of creative input. And a lot of his films have been thought-provoking, whether he is actually directing them or producing them or writing them. You have Ex Machina, which I believe we talked about. Annihilation, we also covered that. 28 Days Later, I don't think we covered that one, and I don't think we covered Dread, but these are also, I think, interchangeably between us, whether it's you where I begin or you end, whatever. I think we have high praise for Alex Garland. So how do you think this rates on that on his kind of world building, based on your kind of understanding and flavor and your opinion of him?
Yeah, his sci-fi stuff. I love Annihilation. That movie is just the more I think about that movie, the more I go into it. Sure. Ex Machina, that one's a killer movie.
My horrible pronunciation skills here, as I am not a professional in any way, shape, or form when it comes to these things. But I agree. I have my own. I really love Dread. I love the world building in Annihilation, and I love the attention to detail of that particular storyline. And not to kind of go into that one too much, but in Ex Machina as well has this whole other kind of layer of telling not a too much of a tropey or cliche story, but finding a new way to kind of put something
Ex Machina
provocative in there.
Exactly. Oscar is like killer in that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Another favorite, one of our favorite actors. And kind of moving on from that, I guess we can go into. So there's a lot of excitement around this one. I know. I was kind of a latecomer to that excitement. I guess I kind of missed the marketing around it, but from what I remember reading and seeing, it was kind of built up in a certain kind of way. And A24 is known for doing kind of from the street or street level kind of meet you where you are, whatever they're doing. They have very interesting creative ways. I think they did like a website and some kind of they flirted and teased very well with the kind of the playing up that Civil War, but they didn't when they did it, I don't think they build it as like something that it isn't per se. I think it's very provocative in general, but anyway, this was their highest big budget film. The other one before that, I think, was Everything Everywhere at Once, which we also covered. I think that got a lot of play. A lot of people. I think our A24 stuff does pretty all right, depending upon what it is.
Yeah. This movie, it's definitely out there. It's front and center. Yeah, the scale of it is huge. I, every time, I look at this movie and I was like, how did they do this?
Sure. Yeah, they did. It cost $50 million to make, and then that kind of going forward here in time. Of course, we didn't know this at the time when it came out in January, when I was excited for it. But and I'll get to what my thought at the end of the show. I'll kind of reveal like where we both stand. I think we both have pretty good stances here, but 124 million it made globally. About almost just a tad bit shy of 70 million in the U.S. And Canada, and the rest of the 54 million from overseas. But also it also really digital platform. Not as big physical media sales, but it definitely had extra additional revenue. This is a good question because we are pretty good connoisseurs of A24, I think. Although our channel is not specifically geared around it, we find ourselves in and out of the A24 store all the time, because there's just good, thought-provoking things that are just really good. What did you think? Do you think that that was worth the big budget? That's kind of the end goal. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, while I was watching it, it felt like very much end of the world. It's like I wouldn't be surprised if like a zombie didn't like creep up on the outer skirts of this movie. It had that feel of it. It's like like anything could happen in this movie.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. It did very well, and it also came in. Sorry, I just lost my place. Anyway, it did set records, and it kind of backing up what you're saying, like the scale of it that you see on screen as you kind of go take this tour of America, of Civil War America, I suppose. It earned had really good opening weekend, and I think my notes have it being the highest opening weekend box office, and their second highest grossing film after Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I mentioned before. But basically, I think it was worth it. So I think you're in agreement with that. Yeah, this is kind of going into that longer form genre talk of what is Civil War. Is this horror, action? Is genre blending or balance? I think we kind of touched on that a little bit. I think it's a complicated film.
It's one of those movies. I think it kind of hits right in your zone because it's like a sci-fi movie, at its heart. It's absolutely sci-fi, it's sort of like playing with the world building, and that's a lot of fun. It's kind of looking at the world through a photographer's. And you can kind of go into detail about the story of it, of the movie.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Let me pull up my little handy dandy thing here. Yeah. So,
it's one of those movies that hits under 2 hours.
Yeah. So what we're seeing is we're on a very fast pace. We meet up with our antagonist, and our protagonist. Excuse me. We meet up with the people that we're going to be riding with Kirsten Dunst's character. Shame on me for not having those names up. That's everything I forgot to put in my notes in the outline. Lee, who plays this veteran, award-winning photojournalist, looking for that angle. So that's kind of, we're in this hotel, and we're waiting with them. Like, this is the kind of a safe spot, and all the media, all the press are kind of holding up here, and you have this kind of conversation like where we set up our main characters, where you have Sammy, Stephen McKinley Henderson, excellent actor, and I was trying to find the other gentleman. Good grief, this one.
Yeah, Sammy is also in Dune as well.
Yeah, Joel. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, but please go ahead. Yeah, bring Dune in.
Sammy is Steve McKinley. He does a great job in Dune. I wish he was played a little bit more of a leading role in the second Dune. But yeah, he does a great job in this, and I have to say, watching this movie, I was like, oh my God, Kirsten Dunst has aged.
Sure. Yeah.
That's one of the things that I kind of took away from this movie is like, we have aged, and she's definitely has seen some years.
yeah. I was surprised to see her in here. And again, it's a very fast paced where you start and where we're going. You climb on board, and then eventually, the characters talk, and then they have this kind of little family unit that seems to be developing, and then they kind of take off from there. And essentially, they are going to. This is closer to the end of the Civil War. That's not really giving anything away because it telegraphs it all over. So that's not a surprise. It's just that you're in for this ride and the story with these people as they go through what it looks like. And they have to go all the way from, I think, New York City, something like that, to all the way to, I believe they're headed to D.C., something like that. So they are doing this kind of convoy leaving off, like where media is kind of following each other. So you set up the scene, and you kind of set up that Kirsten Dunst is a very hard.
Yeah, Lee's sort of the hard hitting photographer. Yeah, she's seen it all, and she's reluctantly kind of introducing Jesse into the world of photographer, and Jesse is played by Cailee Spaeny. She does a great job in this movie. She sort of our eyes into everything, and she sort of kind of goes through the motions on this movie. We kind of see everything that kind of happens through her eyes. And Joel's sort of like the fun-loving guy that kind of he's there when things get tough. He kind of lightens the mood a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, so he's sort of like the journalist, right? Mm-hmm. In the movie.
Yeah. He's also a fellow journalist, and it just so happens that, and I can't remember the exact details of who works for who. It kind of doesn't matter, but you understand that these are independent type professional journalists that are going out and covering the story. And so you kind of get this initial plan of what they're doing. And as you progress through the story, it really raises the tension. It really does a great job of the authenticity of the world you believe. That this is it's so crazy, and that's kind of the point. As they are very mobile and they move through the U.S., you kind of get this different versions of how America is doing the Civil War thing, from either the eerie, that are really on the nose for being horror, like this freaked out, surreal experience, all the way out to what you would expect, being shot at or some kind of danger, that sort of thing. And this it doesn't take long for sure, but you build rapport with these characters very well, and especially with Jessie, she's very relatable. I think this movie does a very good job of how it sets up the scene, and it actually, and I'm not just talking about like how they really filmed this because they kind of black and white montage. I don't know what you would call it, vignette, I guess. You know, the certain kinds of like things that happen, but you also get a sense of what it feels like to be seeing these horrors, and it's just every day. It's just like that. I think there's that dichotomy of like, oh my God. And, you know, Jesse over here is sitting here puking in the corner. You know, I'm just joking here a little bit, but it's not force fed you. He did it very well. This is why I like Garland. I like the way he sets up the cinematography as we kind of roll into it. And I never felt like I was ever taken out of the movie at all. I don't know how you think or feel about that, but I felt like there was always a cinematic experience going on, you know, going into how he laid out the storytelling, and how that went. What were you thinking as far as kind of like going from the storyline and where we go and veer off in more of the technical side with the movie and what you liked or didn't like?
Yeah, Jesse definitely had an impact on this movie. He's sort of like the, you know, when he first hit the scene, I kind of felt like he was sort of like, we have met Damon at home, sort of vibe from him. But yeah, he kind of comes into his own on this movie. He kind of hits you like this movie hits you like a freight train. He hits you as well in this movie. And I have to ask you, does this have kind of vibes from Apocalypse Now?
You know, I have not seen that in a really long time. It's interesting you say that. Now I'm going to have to go back and rewatch that. But from what I recall, I think so. I think that, but I think Apocalypse Now took a little bit more artistic veering off kind of to the side, you know, that really enhanced the viewer in death. Like, you know, like where literally, for me, when what I remember watching Apocalypse Now, like whatever you're watching, the actual thing that you're seeing actually becomes a character too, in and of itself. The way that the war is, and it goes. I definitely got that. War definitely was a prominent part in this movie for me, for sure. I think
you know.
But yeah,
you know, the most impactful scene for me is the scene where they kind of go into this kind of Christmas setting where like there's Christmas music and they're like, maybe we should back up and take the other way. Sammy's like, maybe we should, you know? And Joel's like, no, let's go straight ahead. And there's like the sniper, and there's they run upon these two guys, these military guys, and it's like you know, the whole scene is like from another world. I just love that sort of you kind of go into this other world with this sort of scene, and yes, it's surreal and there's not like any sense or rhyme or reason to this. The guys are just trying to shoot the guy that's the sniper.
Right.
That's the whole scene. And like the guy that's trying to shoot the sniper, he's got like crazy colored hair, and he's like
nails,
got these colored nails. Yeah, it's like it tells like a whole. It says so much, but it doesn't say anything as well.
No, I agree.
I just love it.
Yeah, I agree. I love that scene too. Just the visceral, direct punchiness of it. And this is many times like where you land, wander into these scenes as the journey progresses, and it certainly does not feel like an adventure. Okay, like there are certain kind of films that like feel like you're gearing up for an adventure, and then that's the movie. This is not that kind of movie, even though that's essentially what they're doing. It doesn't feel like that, like it's on rails like that. It feels very much glued on, attached on as you wind through this. Whether it's like the most patent obvious thing of what's going on right now, you have that dialogue between the snipers and and Kirsten Dunst, her character, and then Jesse and Sammy as well, and they're like, what the hell, like how are you this dumb, like you get that scene. I love it. Yeah, it definitely has a certain kind of military feel. I'll put that way, like, 'cause that is exactly what it would happen if you're with your brother, if you're under fire and it's a situation like that. That's exactly what it's going to be. Very like, we don't have time to be nice here. It's not personal. It's just like, we're getting shot at. You don't want to die, but that adds to the pacing. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's where this movie works best, is in the minutia day by day stuff. I think when it tries to talk about bigger things, it kind of loses its focus. There's a scene where basically the young girl is talking to the aged photographer, which is Kirsten Dunst, and she says, "Will you photograph me when I die?" And that's basically the movie. That kind of sums up the movie, and you kind of know, okay, well, it's gonna go one of two ways at the end. And so once you,
they don't hide it at
all. Once you kind of understand the movie, you understand the movie. And there's not a whole lot to the movie, but it's a wonderful ride to follow along.
Yeah, that's a great point, because the Civil War, the kind of the mechanisms in this world that made it, cause it to happen, are not explained. We don't care about that. That is not germane to the story. So that, I think that's also, and I recall when this movie did come out, there was about five minutes, maybe a day and a half, of people trying to figure out, how can I graft this onto what's going on today. Of course, it was back in January that this movie came out, so people are trying to, and everybody tries to do this, like with especially when you court a political, but it really had nothing to do with politics at all,
Right.
It had nothing to do.
Yeah,
with
no, who would? Yeah, who would thought that Biden would be biting babies? But
right. Yeah. So if you and actually I'll go back here to the having the stills. If you're an audio listener, and the screen is off or whatever it is for you on YouTube, there's a picture here we have up of the president of this version of alternative U.S., Nick Offerman.
Yeah, Nick Offerman is awesome as the president in this movie.
Absolutely, yeah. So a little bit of, I didn't really explain kind of the backdrop, but apparently something happened, and this is the third term for this particular president, and people didn't like that, and so we find ourselves in this conflict. But if you try to graft on candidate this or candidate that to this character, it doesn't work. And it's
you don't know if he's you don't know if he's Democrat or Republican. It's never said.
They don't drop any Easter eggs. They don't drop any kind of, like, it's not heavy on the nose. It's not like The Boys, like that's another famous alternative.
And Alex Garland is British, and how do you take his being British and not American kind of take on American yeah, just the whole American vibe of this movie. How did you take that?
I took it very well. I think he did a good job, and he actually says he doesn't hide what the film's about.
Hmm.
He had a very long form interview, I think, with the New York Times. So somebody, I really got into this when I covered this earlier in the year for ApeIt.Ink. Why I read those, what he's basically saying, this movie, if you want to, if it's about journalism and how important that is as a concept, how important the press is to the people and to the world. Like, so that's not giving anything away. But as far as it goes, kind of how he views America, I think that he made certain choices to kind of cloud so that it would defeat people trying to graft this onto that, because that's not the point of the film, that the point of the film is the journey that these journalists from rookie, literally rookie to, everybody has some kind of experience in this. But I think he did a very good job. And you're right, he is from the UK. But I think that I didn't get any kind of wonky or weird kind of criticisms of America, to be honest. Like, because it's not about America. I mean, not necessarily. It's just about this, this is the setup for us to make this storyline relevant to what's going on. That's world building. So, to me, I think he does an excellent job and captures the American part of the story. How about you? As far as it goes?
Well, as people may know, we both come from photographer
That's right.
jobs.
Sure.
We used to work for Sears Portrait Studio,
Right.
and so I used to work in the studio as a photographer. So one of the things that I always said when I was a photographer in the portrait studio was that it was when you get together with another person that photographed babies, you talk about war stories.
Yeah.
And this movie is all about war stories.
That's very true.
And it's
Yeah, that's another great point. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like getting that moment and capturing that moment and kind of detaching yourself from it. When you're a photographer in Sears Portrait Studio, you're just trying to get that happy moment of that baby. You hopefully get the baby smiling. But yeah, this movie is about capturing the moment, no matter what it is. Usually it's someone's dying in that moment.
Right.
Yeah, and it's it kind of hits you. There's it likes to sucker punch you several times in this movie, and it's one of those movies where you have a lot of feels for it. I could see where this movie would be like the ultimate movie for someone where they kind of either fall in love with movie making with this movie, or just love the art of movie making with this movie. There's that whole I got this really guttural feeling while watching this movie, where it's like, it kind of touches you in a way that a lot of movies don't touch you.
Right.
There's this overwhelming feeling as you're watching it of all this emotion. But yeah, it does hit you in a lot of ways.
No, I agree with that completely. Yeah, there is a lot of gear porn in here, like where, and obviously another thing to mention in passing here, you have all the other, everybody's digital, but the rookie here is doing a hardcore, and she's got regular film. So her film shots are a little bit more delayed, but and she obviously has an eye, as they say in the photography world, with the camera. She knows when to take a shot, and that is something that Lee is prefaced with throughout this as knowing having that same instinct, and they definitely touch on that quite a few times for this being that human part, the part that we didn't quite get around. We've talked around the edges of it, but I agree. Not just a movie, but it's really telling a human story. It's kind of another way of how this is. That's why it doesn't make sense to attach any kind of politics to what's going on outside the movie theater to outside this movie, because it's not dramatic. It has nothing to do with it. It's just kind of setting up the table for us to run through this, and you see her shooting this and how she's, I guess, learning and growing like on the job. OJT.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sort of Lee's kind of regression back to who she used to be.
Yes.
Yes. And her, she's sort of fighting it tooth and nail, and she becomes a human again in a war-torn world that doesn't need her to be human.
Right. No, I agree. And I really enjoyed Kirsten Dunst's performance. And you're right. Like, I had not seen her in years, so it was a treat to kind of see older, more mature, our age kind of Kirsten Dunst that is not anything related to any kind of her roles before. That 20 years ago. Let's just put it that way. 20 years ago.
Yeah, she's really human in this movie. Very, very human. Another movie that she's really good in is Mother. I don't know if you've seen that one, but that one she really kind of puts it out on the line in that one as well. But yeah. Yes. This movie, she really, really kind of, is it, I think it's Mother.
I'm looking for it. You keep going. I assume it was, I could be wrong. I could be wrong on the genre, but yeah, no, I agree. I'll pull this back here and I'll just bring it up. She is also married to another co-star, or Jesse Plemons, who also has a minor role in this. Him and her are married, and I didn't realize that. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can't remember the whole story, but basically this particular role of Jesse, the soldier here, who is has a very unique, iconic look that was memed, absolutely. So there's like another part of like this movie that was accepted on the internet subculture for various reasons. But you have him. I can't remember what happened with the main actor, but I know that Dunst was talking to Garland and said, "Hey, why don't we could try out Jesse?" And because he's from Breaking Bad, very good actor, and amongst other things, but they did, and it fit, and it worked. So they played it. But yeah, they're married. I didn't know that either. But it was kind of fun to do. But she does a very good job of being the mature, hardcore, either hard boiled, and then she kind of softens up and becomes more humanized, and then you kind of see this give and take with her and Jesse as their relationship grows. In times there is a kind of a motherly nature, but it's also could also be a big sister, maybe. I
was totally wrong. Mother starred Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, okay, right
Kirsten Dunst also did a Darren Aronofsky movie, but it was Melancholy.
Okay, right.
Which I haven't seen. I've heard good things about.
Same.
But yeah, All Good Things is also a great movie.
Yes, yeah. She has some chops. So this is not her only
Mm-hmm.
drama kind of thing. I have not seen Melancholia or All Good Things, but I have seen probably just as many other things, maybe. But Black Mirror.
And she's known for being MJ and
Yep,
Spider-Man.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah,
Yep.
we'll go back up here. Yeah, I was gonna say her performance. She does a very good job. I think that Garland works with her very well. I got plenty. I think she did fine. I didn't have any issues with her performance. I thought it was pretty good overall. And that, I guess, that kind of leads us. Oh yeah, please go ahead, please.
I was gonna ask you, since you're kind of more of a military guy. How does this stack up as far as
really, really well. That kind of go. I think that goes back into the world building. And there was a famous, semi-famous military consultant. I can't remember what it was, but it's here in the still shots here. If I go back to the filming portion here, you can kind of see this. Jeff Bosley. I think maybe that's the. I don't think that's the guy, but anyway, he consulted with like experts and really took into account. And actually, it's like kind of a little bit of a teaser thing here. Well, I don't know if it'll happen, but the same military expert guy on here, they pretty much nailed it very well. I mean, I am not going to claim expert, but like, so the joke is everybody in the Army is infantry. Like, it doesn't matter if you're the cook or if you're the commander or if you're whatever. At the end of the day, if something's going on, everybody's a basic soldier, a basic rifleman, so to speak. But in any case, the relationship that Garland has with that, and shame on me for not having his name, I think that they're going to do another kind of film that is more military related, and I'm really excited. I haven't heard anything back. But I'll kind of search for it here in the back in a little bit to try to pull it up. But I'm all ears to kind of go into that world and see more of what Garland is capable of, because he nails that military side perfectly. He really does.
Yeah, he kind of touches on that in Annihilation, and then this movie it kind of hammers it home. He does a really good job. And you get that sense of watching this movie that, especially towards the end. We won't get into spoilers, but it kind of hits home towards the end of the movie where things kind of ramp up, and Kirsten Dunst kind of goes through a personal journey. And she kind of becomes human again in the worst time to become human. And it's definitely interesting to watch that kind of play out for her. But yeah, this movie, it takes you through the paces, and it just makes you feel in ways that you. I think when you were saying this is sort of like a horror movie, it does have that feel to it. Again, a lot of times I was feeling a lot of things that I felt like with The Last of Us.
Sure.
Even, it's sort of like a zombie movie. But yeah, this is sort of like you're kind of going through a zombie version of America.
Right.
And Yeah, but it's not zombies. It's very much us being human, or the lack thereof.
No, absolutely. Yeah, and the one thing that helps build that, just like I mentioned, the cinematography and whatnot, is the soundtrack. I think that it
Mhm.
maybe doesn't quite hit as iconic heights as like an Interstellar or Blade Runner, maybe, or other kind of thing. Like I'm a sucker for like a good soundtrack, but it mirrors. I think it mirrors the human condition as you're going through that. But to slide into what you're talking about, yeah, like again, not so much a political statement per se. It's more of that human story and the
Mhm.
inhumanity that all of these characters find either inside themselves or inside, whatever the situation is going playing before our eyes. But I was gonna also say, there, I guess there is not really a political stance per se. This is kind of not that movie, but there are movies that we will be might as well tease in upcoming ones that we'll be looking at that do
Mhm.
take kind of the other side of this thing that we'll be covering next week for V for Vendetta. But
Mhm.
I think that's why you know I was really happy to see this movie because to me it took a chance, and it didn't try to tell you what to think. It didn't tell you what to, you were, you figured out, and I like that. I like that about A24's. I think that's a hallmark of A24's films, and they do it very well. I think without shoving down your. I didn't. Maybe there are people out there, I'm sure, that do feel like maybe there is something to mention or an axe to grind, I guess, but I don't see it. But I don't feel like I was force fed any particular message aside from like caring about drawn more into the story and caring about what happens to these people as you go forward. What do you
Yeah,
think?
it's a story about Kirsten Dunst, who's kind of walled herself off
Mm-hmm.
uh, emotionally, and
Mm-hmm.
this new person is introduced, and she Kristen doesn't want to feel
Right.
again, and she knows this person is going to make her uh, kind of come to terms with who she is,
Right.
and that's sort of the story here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is she's sort of kind of coming to terms with who she is,
Right.
and uh, and that's sort of the basic story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it tells it well. Um, yeah, yeah, and it kind of goes through the basic tropes of a horror movie. But yeah, it kind of it tells it well. And Sammy is sort of like at the beginning of what his story is.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like tragic, but
Right.
it is is what it is.
He would be on the final chapters of his book,
Mhm.
if the book were his life, so to speak. Where and
Mhm.
that is it's more than true, and I'll leave it there without spoiling anything too for
Mhm.
some of the other people we
Mhm.
talked about here. But whereas some others are obviously starting at the very beginning of their journey, which is Cailee Spaeny, Jesse, she
Mhm.
they all work and have a part to play as far as it goes as you get into this. And I was very impressed with Jesse's, even more so with Sammy's, with Stephen
Mhm.
Henderson's role and in his excellent acting. He obviously comes through as the obvious mentor, not just to
Mhm.
Jesse, because there's a special relationship between Jesse and Lee. Obviously, there too,
Mhm.
one of mentor mentee eventually, and maybe even a little bit more than that, more deeper than that too. But because they can see themselves in each other, and that's like when they really start. But that that's all part of the feathering in of the humanity as Lee, who's ice cold, kind of melts a little bit. And obviously it comes up with a very good punch. But Henderson again, he did a very good job. And that kind of
it kind of introduces you to the thrill of photography.
Mm-hmm.
How you kind of lose yourself into it.
To get
And
the shot. Right.
the rush of it. It kind of captures that as well. And does a wonderful job of that.
Yeah, we're probably closer to the end than the beginning. Well, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Did you, as far as movies stack up this year, where do you put this movie?
It very high. So I think, and that kind of brings it. That's a good point. So here on Kinorama or Kinorium, whatever it is, but they gave it a 6.5 essentially. IMDb 7. Critics say 81. I am more of like on the upper tier of this. I think personally, I think there's a few more movies to finish out the year, I think, that could maybe give this a run for its money. But for me, all the way back in January, I bill this as the movie of the year, in my opinion. I'm sure there are others, and it'll be cool to have that December, end of the year stream or show that we'll do, and we'll kind of go back over things and how it works. But to me, easily the movie of the year. In absence of something else, truly blockbuster and hitting. So I'm sure others will have things, but for this being original, for it being generational, which I think I was starting to get into a little bit, the performances, the cinematography, the quality directing and writing, the dialogue. To me, that's where I kind of come up. How about you? I mean, that's high praise for me, but I think I was already coming in on that angle anyway.
Yeah, I can see that, and one of the things that I love is people loving movies, and I can see where you love this movie, and I appreciate it for that. It's not there for me.
Sure.
I think I'm more towards the maybe the 7 mark on this movie. I just kind of lean towards maybe Longlegs as being the movie of the year for me.
I can absolutely see that for you, and I agree. I agree with you there for sure. Longlegs is such a unique, fun time that we had with that. That'll be fun too.
And I think you lean more towards Civil War. I lean more towards Longlegs.
I think
but
you're right.
I think we meet in the middle with Furiosa. I think that movie is sort of like our in between movie, which I think if you haven't seen that, you definitely want to see it.
Yeah, that was the most fun of the year. That was the most fun movie of the year that I saw, and I did go see the Wolverine movie too. But I had way more fun watching Furiosa than I did X-Men, and Wolverine, the Deadpool movie. But and I don't mean anything negative to say about that. It was very good. I just kind of like. I kind of was more reminded of seeing these latest superhero movie, like whereas Furiosa was like, I was in it. I mean, I could see it, but yeah, no, I think that makes sense. I also was not. I was kind of more at that seven mark for Longlegs, like where some things kind of took a little bit longer for me, but it still worked very well. I'm not trying to give like a super negative because there is none for me, but I think that fits.
I think when you say it's a good movie as opposed to a great movie, you kind of tend towards people saying, oh well, he didn't like that, but I really enjoyed this movie. It hit the right moments for me. I just think other movies did it better. I think for me, this movie pales in comparison to Apocalypse Now. That movie is my war movie.
Sure.
So it's sort of like everything is kind of compared to that, and if you don't hit that mark, then you don't get past that. But yeah, this movie was very enjoyable. I really enjoyed watching it. And this is one of those movies that is under 2 hours. That's high praise for this. Telling a compact story that doesn't bleed over 2 hours. That's a great thing, in my opinion.
Yeah, it didn't spend too much time in any one spot. You get going pretty quickly, and that is true throughout the film. Very good.
I think the last 30 minutes of the movie is some of the best filmmaking. And you're kind of wondering, okay, how did they do this?
Yep.
How were they able to film this? And it's sort of like, oh my God, are they doing this? Yes, they are doing this. And yeah, it's sort of a stunning bit of cinema that I think only a British person could do for an American movie.
I agree with you there. Yeah, he has a very unique perspective on it, but I think we're kind of coming up to the end. But yeah, I agree. Obviously, it's very high praise from me. The best thing, though, I think this is a recommend for sure, even if you might not quite loving it as much as I do, and you maybe fall a little bit more on the mid side of the house. Perfectly fine. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think that it's not just a movie you watch. They don't tell you what to think. They present a story to you, and then you kind of go, you're in or out. But it doesn't take long to get in and go for the ride. All the way up to the very end. And it also does the wonderful thing that I love that when movies do, even whether horror or whatever it is, you kind of are left with kind of thinking like, what else? Like you kind of are naturally like, what happened? You like what happened to set the table? What kind of these kind of things around the edge, or what how these characters came into those parts.
Yeah, it is sort of a sci-fi movie in that it kind of lives in that world where you're like, okay, how did they get here?
Right. What else is going on? Right.
Yeah, so you're sort of kind of piecing everything together, and that's sort of like the best sci-fi stuff is.
Yeah, and I don't mean wanting to know as far as like trying to graft political, like real world onto this or what. I don't mean from that. I just mean from the standpoint of just the world building and kind of what the just like another movie that I really love, based on the Martian, by that movie that had that movie, that the world in that is awesome. Like you just kind of want to know more. But just same as this. But I think we're coming up. But I this is a strong recommend for me. I was gonna.
Yeah, I think well, talking about The Martian, I think they're making Hail Mary as a movie as well. I heard.
Yeah, I heard that too as well. I'm very excited for that. We'll see where that goes. But the book I really loved. I am a very big fan of that writer. And some kind of it's Alex. Shame on me for not knowing that. One of my most favorite. Alex something is his first name, I think. Anyway, it didn't matter. But go check this one out. It obviously is a good. The thing is, maybe the last A24 movie you saw wasn't the best movie ever, right? But it certainly is not the worst. I have found the rule of thumb, at least for me, and this counts more if you're an A20 fan anyway. So your mileage may vary. That I'll say that, but for me, these A24 films hit better than they don't. And we also, the A24 film that we've covered in the last couple of years, I have not had any bad, experience or like where I'm just like, I don't understand what the hell's going on. This is boring. None of that. For me, it works very well. But so I say you're going to be extra served if you are one of those A24 people or an Alex Garland fan. There's many different entries here to come on and watch this movie and love it. I think more than not. But I get like where maybe maybe they wanted more of a war film. And although this movie was war based, it's not necessarily a war film per se. That's just the plot thing that's going on. But anyway, I've yammered on for long enough. You have any final thoughts?
No, yeah, you definitely check the movie out. Yeah, he's one of those directors that anything he does is captivating, whether it be Men or Annihilation. We've covered both, and also Ex Machina. He's one of those directors that always challenges you, whether it's dread or just whatever. He makes you think.
Absolutely, yeah. No, great original director, writer, creative, as it were. Very good.
And he's also a novelist. If you want to check out his books, he also wrote The Beach, which
that's right. You love
it's one of those books where I started it in a relationship and ended it out of the relationship. It has and also 28 Days Later is a great movie as well. He knows the human condition and he tells it well.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, love Alex Garland. And as we kind of come up here to the caboose, I will just do a very brief plugging session here. You can always find me and Tom here on the First Last Nerdom, our YouTube channel. Go check us out, say hi on our community tab, or if you see a post, or give us a comment, give us a like, a subscribe. We really appreciate that.
If you're watching this because of Civil War and you want to see something completely different,
sure.
The Pit is completely different.
Absolutely, yeah. That, and then next week, as we teased a little bit earlier, we'll be going kind of like the other side of the Civil War spectrum, so to speak. As we hopefully will have an answer on who the next the next thing that people should be offended about for the next 4 years. Whoever wins, it's a light political joke. God bless you if you vote, no matter who you vote for. We're all about that here.
Yeah, just don't bite any babies.
Or don't vote. Yeah. Don't bite babies. Or if you want to vote, don't vote. It certainly is. It's a free country, as they say. But we'll be back next week with V for Vendetta. I think that will wrap up our show. I have been Emil.
And I'm Tom.
Peace. See if I can get the thing to go. Oh, there we go. Fireworks for the show.
Yeah.